So this is a project I've wanted to do for a while now. I like Star Wars a lot, and Obi-Wan's lightsaber has always been the one that stood out for me, the most iconic, for me even more than Luke's or anyone else's. Not to say I don't like them, because I do, but it's just got that certain look to it. Anyways, this project I wanted to be the first that I took basically from conception to birth and cover all aspects, right from designing, catting it out, and then printing and refining, painting and finishing. So it's the whole deal from A to Z. And it was quite the journey. It was very enjoyable. I learned a lot while I did it. And, a lot of old things started to become familiar again. It's been a while since I've built anything. And, now we're getting back into things, and it's exciting. Throughout the video, you'll see that I do use reference images. And what I did do was I stayed true to form as much as possible, meaning that all of the measurements I use for all of the parts are based on the real life parts that were used to make the original prop for the original movie from episode 4. And short of having to take some logical modifications into account, where you have to remember that we're not making this out of metal, we're making this out of cast resins and things like that, 3D prints, where you can't really match the strength of steel per se. So things that are thinner have to be made a bit more robust so they can survive handling and the odd, dare I say, drop. It's a lot of the little details here, like where there's a button that's supposed to be pressed, like right there, making a recess and giving a 0.2 millimeter gap around the button. That gives that sense of realism that this is an actual button that can be pushed. And here, this is exactly what I'm talking about, reinforcement. This isn't part of the original design, but again, like I said, this isn't metal. This is a type of polymer or plastic. So that is a very thin channel. And if you don't build like a gusset or a support like that, it's increasing its likelihood to fail. So we build it up and make it so it doesn't fail, or gives it the best chance. Other details like the little latch here, they seem like little details to some people. To me, the devil's in the details, so it's the little things like this that need to really not take away. Another perfect example is right here. The bubble display that acts as the on-off switch for the lightsaber is an actual part from an old calculator, and the numbers would appear inside these bubbles, magnifying them. This is a part that's going to require a good amount of refinement, post-processing, even after it's printed, even if it's on a high quality resin printer, just because it has to be optically clear, or else you're going to see inclusions and imperfections in it. The infamous hot and cold adjuster for the pommel. Originally, this part, believe it or not, is plastic. I always thought it was metal, but it's actually not. It's actually like a chromed plastic. So we're not too far off with that. If we're going by original design, these raised pieces here, I've actually rounded them off a bit more. They're actually come to a greater point in reality, but I figured they're going to be more manageable and survive better with a bit of a round over. So that's just, my personal design choice. And here's the print coming up. If you look in the right side, you can see one piece failed. And I didn't bore anyone with the processing of cleaning these parts. Here, what I'm doing is I'm adding a coat of white filler primer. That basically just gives me a barrier between the bare plastic and the subsequent coats that will follow. So this is what it's going to do, is it's going to start filling the recesses in the missing resolution from the printer, because there are lines. And immediately following that, I do a layer or two of black filler primer. And this is not meant to be a thorough coat. This is just to give contrast between the white coat underneath and this black coat. So when I sand, I can see how far down I'm going when I go through the black, and then I start going through the white and I get back to the bare plastic. I can see just how deep some areas are that need to be filled or sanded down to a level surface. So yeah, just some, as the automotive industry calls it, pig priming, where you're just splotching on some paint. So 320 for me is magic. I don't ever sand with any grit lower than 320. You're making way too deep a gouge, in my opinion, and you end up chasing new scratches. So light pressure, let the tool do the work and slowly start removing material. Here you can see the black goes away, and in the center there's some white primer, which indicates a very slight low spot. So I know that the next coat of primer will cover and level it out. Coming across here, you can see the layer lines from the resolution of the printer. Anything you see that's black is a low spot, and anything that's white is a high spot. So basically, I'm going to sand until the black is almost gone. Then I know I'm in a good place. And there we go. That's what I would consider done right there. So after some sanding and more sanding and more sanding, we end up with a piece that, is a few different colors, and that's what we want. So now we can see the gradation where we go down. So again, everything that's black is a low spot, and everything that's white is higher. So we know that the black needs to be filled in a bit, so that when we sand again, there is as little black left as possible, enough that the next coats of primer will level everything out. So we see no ghosting of layer lines or resolution lines coming through. And there you can see the vertical lines for the XY resolution on the printer. And we're left with this. This is after all the sanding is done and everything is leveled out. And we're ready for our prime and paint. So here we are now. That's a black base layer of paint that all the parts get. And following this, I spray automotive 2K clear coat, which is going on right here and right now, giving me a perfectly glossy finish as much as possible. There is always contaminants that somehow get in despite your best efforts. And our goal is to mitigate them as much as possible. So our cleanup of the clear coat is as minimal as possible. But I do 2 to 3 coats of clear coat just to build up a good thickness. I'll primarily go over the edges first and then follow up over the flat surfaces, because the edges don't hold paint or clear coat as well as a flat surface does. So here, after everything's been cured in an oven, I start water sanding the clear to get rid of any imperfections or any slight orange peel that there may be. And here, yeah, we can see it's been dulled out, but it's nice and smooth. Not to say that it was rough to begin with, but for me, this had to be perfect. Okay, and this is just some cutting compound, automotive grade, that's going to get rid of the scratches that I made with a 3000 grit sandpaper that I was using to water sand. So, and I'm just methodically, with very little pressure, just let the tool do the work, and the results kind of speak for themselves. It's nice and clean, but not clean enough, because that's why we're going to hit it with some polish. And this will just remove any trace of scratches or abrasions that were left by the cutting compound. And this will give it as gleaming and glossy and smooth a surface as I can get out of it. And I'm pretty happy with the results. It's nice and clean. I'm very happy. And you do get imperfections. See, here's a piece of dirt or dust that got trapped in between a couple of the clear coats. And we're going to get rid of that, because that's just not acceptable. So again, 3000 grit sandpaper. I believe I did go back and hit it with 1000 just locally in that spot, but successfully knocked it down, and that's all that remains, just an ever so slight level. And so now we just hit this part again with the cutting compound, and that leaves us in a really good spot. Really happy with it. Nice and smooth, nice and clear. So I will never mess with my original parts. I will always create molds and cast my original, and that is why I did such a high gloss surface, because I want the transfer to be as perfect as possible, so that our copies are clean and they won't require any refinements. But there are other reasons which I'm not willing to disclose as of yet. These will be for a future project, hint hint, as to why I wanted that nice optically clear look on the parts, because I am tinkering with a couple finishing options to use in lieu of paints and metal finishes, spray on metal finishes. This is a 30 shore hardness silicone, mixed part A, part B equal. And gonna do some mold making here. I don't get too into the mold making. I promise, cover that in future videos, rest assured, for those who are interested in making their own molds and casting what they build. And mix, using the double pour mix just to make sure that everything is combined. You put it into a second cup just to make sure that there are no unmixed parts of silicone left behind. And vacuum degassing, because we want no bubbles. I'm not gonna lie, if you really want to get in depth with prop making, replicas, things like that, it is an investment. It doesn't have to be. It all comes down to what you're after, what you're looking for as far as your end product goes. So here's some parts that are in a 2-part mold. I did the first half with silicone, applied a release agent, and pour a second layer of silicone on top. I use various objects like toothpicks and straws for vents and pour spouts into the mold. And I'll chase these molds up when I do cast plastic into them. All the vent holes, I'll put 3mm PVC plastic tubing in for about an inch or so, just so I don't overfill and pour everywhere. And yay, the mold separates easily because of the release agent. Always use a release agent. Now I'm just cleaning up the mold. And here's a second mold that I made. And this one's going to require some surgery to free the part, making some smooth yet jagged cuts. And freeing the grip. And that skewer is there. It's going to be the fill port for the part. And we have a nice, clean, clear impression. I'm very happy with it. And here's our original parts in black. And here is our polyurethane resin casts that I'm very pleased with how they came out. Very minimal flashing, which is from good mold design, which we will cover. And here we're painting up the parts. I use the term paint really loosely. These are more metal applications than they are paint. There is no pigment in this. This is basically a suspension medium carrying various types of metal particles that are, I guess, around the 20 micron mark. I'm a big fan of Allclad. That's the brand that I'm using here. The upper grip, I did go with a rusty tone that I mixed. And the cap, the pommel, the body are all getting a chrome layer. And it's really bright, really nice, and you can really see the stuff reflect in the paint booth here, just to attribute to how shiny it is. There is a pretty steep curve applying this product, but I will cover that without overwhelming everyone here right now. And again, very happy with the way it came out. And it's a really neat feeling watching a shine just come to life in front of you. So everything got a couple coats of 2K clear coat, varying degrees of shine depending on the part, because I don't want this whole thing gleaming. And doing the assembly here, everything is pressure fit very nicely. There are it is a lot of tinkering with tolerances, getting things to the point where you can compensate for layers of paint and whatnot in clear coat, just so everything fits. Some parts do require sanding, but for the most part, everything is a very nice, snug, interlocking fit. And there is a metal core. The top of the lightsaber is threaded, and this post threads right into the top. And a lock nut compresses and holds everything together just as a little added security and weight. The lightsaber weighs about 1 pound, maybe 1 pound and an ounce, or 500-600 grams, however you want to look at it. And well, if you watch the other video, these are the final results, and I'm pretty happy with them. I like the way they turned out. I can see a couple things that I don't like. I'll keep those to myself. I don't think we'll ever find perfection in something we ourselves make. We'll always be our hardest and worst critic. But that's okay, because that's how we grow. You have to come this far to realize that there would be design and changes that you would implement going forward, and that's exactly what I'll do. Yeah, that's basically it. Here's the Obi-Wan Kanobi Episode 4 lightsaber in all its glory, or all the glory that I am capable of mustering to give it justice. That's basically it, folks. I hope you enjoyed the little trip with me, and I enjoyed doing it. And I look forward to the next project that should be coming soon. See you then.